spending time with our friends releases endorphins in the brain and makes us happy. Good things fall apart so better things can fall together.
That's so cheesy.
She was the kind of person who never gave you enough time to miss her. I immediately thought of you.
It's called lack of boundaries. Middle-aged women who have at least 3 friends typically have had higher levels of overall satisfactions with their lives. If you're dating my best friend and you make her happy, I'll help plan the wedding. But if you hurt her, I'll help plan your funeral.
Dark. I like it. As David Bowie says, I don't know where we are going from here, but I promise it won't be boring.
I am Andrea, and together with my co-host Anna, in this episode we're navigating the ups and downs of connections, exploring what benefits a friendship brings to our mind, life, and wallet.
Essentially, why we should stick together. And from where I stand, I think I need to keep you around mainly because you know too much.
I agree.
As they say, I can get rid of you, but it's more hassle than it's worth.
I wouldn't bother, Anna. Also, if that's not pure love right there, then I don't know what is. From where I stand, you're a lot cheaper than therapy, and you're available on the weekends as well.
Define friendship.
Friendship means the bond between people that connects them and lets them share each other's feelings and thoughts. Someone is your friend if you feel like you can tell them anything. And then, a best friend is a person who is close and dear and is always there when you need them. A person who knows you're a bit crazy but loves you anyway. That's the definition of you.
Well, thank you. Okay, Andre, how do you think we became friends? Of course, recollections might differ, but tell me from your perspective.
To this day, I have no idea. Honestly, sometimes I try to think about that moment in time, and all I can remember is how mental I was. I don't really know why you like me.
Brave of you to assume I liked you. Although an assumption that is in fact correct. I don't think I had any mental friends, so you were a breath of fresh air for me.
I don't think that's a shared view amongst everyone I know, but that's okay. No, seriously, I remember coming to a house party in your house with your housemates. I didn't know you then. And I don't really remember how we got talking because I was doing all the talking at that point in time.
Some things never change.
All I remember about that night is that I was ready to party, to conquer, to drink, to have the best time of my life. I don't know what happened, but the next thing I know is that we were making pancakes in your house every day. And by we, I meant you. And then I remember stopping on my way home to yours. And there was lots of food involved and there was lots of chats involved. And then I don't know how or why we moved in together. It just kind of happened. I think your whole vibe was super nice. And you were like such a goody two shoes at that point in time. And I was just mental. And I think you were fascinated by that, but I don't know, it's just an assumption. In those 2 years that we lived together, I was still mental. Like I never stopped. I never really stopped. My favorite thing about us living together is that I felt like you were coming out of your shell because, I don't know, like I was outgoing and I knew a lot of people. And you just suddenly became this, I want to go out too. I want to buy a dress. I want to know people. And that's not how I met you. That was not my vision of you when I met you.
AKA, I slowly started developing a mild drinking problem. Is that what you're saying? I became braver.
For the reference, when she says mild, she actually means mild. Anna, for like 3 years straight, you could only drink Malibu.
I call that heavy drinking.
I think that's fairly accurate to the day anyway.
The way I recall our friendship starting is we met during uni, and I told both you and our other friend, you girls were crazy. Next thing I recall is moving in together. And then I remember one of our fights, I think the biggest one, when you said you never want to be like me. I remember thinking, not a chance in hell do I aim or want to be anything like you. I mean, the idea of you insinuating that I aim to be like you made me so angry. I felt so disrespected, you know? And looking back, Andre, I can imagine God looking down on us, laughing and building a plan to regret everything we said that day. Fast forward to today, I think we are very similar. And in many ways, I do aim to be more like you every day. You are very caring. You have your heart open. You're kind. You're funny. You're smart. And you're a dreamer. Things that I aim to be.
That's so cheesy.
It's good that she takes compliments well. Her heart is fully open, as I said.
No, I'm sorry. You're not cheesy. I just didn't expect the conversation to go in that direction, but I'll fully take the compliment. Thank you. And how many types of friends do you have? Except me, of course.
I think I have many types of friends. I have friends that I only go out with. I have the ones I share my feelings and thoughts with, the ones that I question life with. I have work friends, and then I have people I know. I'm sure I have other types of friends as well, but generally speaking, I think I have quality friends, people that I fully respect and I enjoy spending time with. What about you?
Well, you know me, I'm a bit of a social butterfly, so I do know a lot of people. And I think I would add a few categories on top of the ones you mentioned. So I have some neighborhood friends, and I have some long distance friends as well. I really like knowing people who have multiple interests. For example, I have a friend that I go out with and explore all the new restaurants in a certain area. So we would meet once a month and we would do that. Obviously, our common interest is food. And I have some outdoorsy friends who really enjoy walking, and then they join me on my walks with my dog. And there's one category of friends that I now don't interact as much with, and that is my drinking friends. I am no longer part of that social group. So, according to psychology, there are four types of friends. We've got acquaintances, which are the people you would meet and socialize only under a certain context. You would have social friends, people you would go out with, but you wouldn't share intimate details of your life. And then you would have intimate friends, and they are the ones who are always your go to for advice. These are people you can share or celebrate good news with and rely on. And then there's another category in psychology that's called the epitome of friends. And these are the friends that both have the fun and silly good times while also being there for one another during the darkest of times.
It's very interesting looking at these four types of friends you can have. I feel like I have some intimate friends that I also tend to go out with, but I also have some acquaintances that I may share some fun and silly times with.
Yeah, and I think it's different in every context. So I have work friends, but I probably wouldn't be as willing to go out as much with them because we would go out and still talk about work. And sometimes I just want to go out and not talk about work. So I wouldn't do that.
Fair. Andre, tell me, what do you think about this statement? A friendship can make you or break you.
Oh, I fully agree. From the perspective of becoming a millionaire, and we touched on this in episode 5 of our first season called Becoming a Millionaire, we were talking there about how peer pressure can make us spend more money. And in this episode, I mentioned a survey that was done on 1,045 millennials, and they were asked whether they feel like they needed to keep up with their friends. So 39% of them said yes, and also that they would get into debt to do so. And out of those who said yes, 73% of them, they said they would keep it a secret. You know, if you're choosing to spend time with people who make you feel inadequate in any sort of way, can make you fall into the traps of spending more, for example. And I would add to this peer pressure, drinking more or buying more clothes or gossiping more or eating unhealthy. And we are not always conscious that we do that. We just engage with certain activities to fit in, right? On the other hand, if you're in a group of friends where the norm is healthy eating or fitness or, I don't know, saving or starting businesses, we tend to also try to do the same things as well in our life. Otherwise, we just have nothing to talk about.
Yeah, engaging in the same behavior so you feel part of the group. I came across an article by the British Psychological Society, and this article is called The Psychology of Friends. I really enjoyed reading this because it covers different aspects and impacts on having a social network. What I took out of this, based on what Professor Robin Dunbar at the University of Oxford said, is that friendship is the single most important thing affecting our psychological health and well being, as well as our physical health. It's very correlated with what you said. If your friends tend to go to the gym quite often, you tend to join them, so that will obviously affect your physical health. He says spending time with our friends releases endorphins in the brain and makes us happy. Now, in this article, they say that many studies suggest that having healthy friendships could have a protective effect on health and also help us age better. They were examining whether social networks could influence mortality, heart attack survival, depression, and anxiety. And they say that our social networks, so the ties we have, can affect our moods. They also have some evidence suggesting that feelings such as happiness can spread through a network. In one of our previous episodes, you mentioned that if you are surrounded by people that laugh and are happy, you'll end up being a relatively happy person because it's contagious. Being a member of a social group, so for example, if you're part of a book club or sports team, it might also carry its own health benefits because the sense of belonging and friendship might be key to our social identity, which in turn can influence health. Being a member of a low status or stigmatized group might harm health. However, in the same time, this group membership can counter the negative health effects, for example, by providing social support.
I'm familiar with some of Professor Dunbar's work because when I was researching on the topic of friendship, I found some really interesting articles, including an interview with him. He has found in his research that human beings are able to maintain about 150 connections at once. And this is called Dunbar's number. So this includes a group of around 5 close friends, followed by a circle of more casual friends. And other research has come up with similar numbers. One study from 2016 found that those with at least 6 friends have better health throughout their lives. And a study from 2020 found that middle aged women who have at least 3 friends typically have had higher levels of overall satisfactions with their lives. He also said that people who come from large extended families have fewer friends because they give priority to family members. So if we think about it, if one person can only hold a circle of connection of around 150 connections, then if you have a larger family, the other circle becomes smaller. That would explain why sometimes people who are grown in really large families have got smaller circles of friends.
I've always been intrigued about this correlation between how close you are to your family and the type of friends you have around.
I always thought about this from the perspective of being a twin. And you are a twin as well, so maybe you'll agree with what I have to say. I always felt that all the twins that I know, one of the siblings will be more social than the other. And I don't know if that happens with your sister as well, but between me and my sister, I was the one who was more extroverted and with a large group of friends, large group of people, and my sister just had a really close, small circle of friends. And I don't know why that's such a recurring theme. I think that's fairly similar for you and your sister as well.
I think our roles have switched over time. My sister was one of the popular girls in my class. I don't think I was. I mean, I was too focused on
Being a goody two
doing.
shoes.
And after that, I feel like I became very extroverted, and my sister is more about quality. She has some very close friends, she has her small circle, and she doesn't really care much about the other people. Well, because of my job, I feel like I have to be a bit more extroverted, and I promise you, I can have weather related chats with many people at the same time, separate
Yeah.
times.
Yeah, I think that's true for when you grow older. But when you're younger, one of the siblings will naturally be more outgoing than the other.
Apparently has something to do with being competitive between twins. It's this unwritten rule that if your sister is very good at something, you'll take the back seat. So if my sister was very good at cooking, she was very good at making friends, I'll just find other things that I'm good at. So I'm not in direct competition with her. There, I have some general questions.
There's no food in my fridge.
And then, do you agree or disagree? Friendships hit differently when you have no family around.
Yeah, I fully agree with that statement from the perspective of a person who has moved here when I was fairly young. I was 19. The friends or the people that were around me became my close family. And so those connections were stronger and the bonds were stronger because I also made friends with people who were going through the same thing. So we were sharing the same journey, I suppose.
You get connected with people a lot more when you don't have that support system around you. You just
Mm-hmm.
create a brand new one.
Yeah,
Another one I have, Andre, it's about breaking up with a friend. There is a right time to give up on a friendship.
I 100% agree. You know what? No one talks about how hard it is to break up with a friend. Some of my worst heartbreaks have been because I had to give up on people in my life, or that other people in my life gave up on me as a friend because we were no longer in the same space, or, the friendship was not right. Have you ever broken up with a friend?
Yes. I mean, quite a few friends over the years. Sometimes friendships just fall apart. They say good things fall apart so better things can fall together. Sometimes might be the distance or you don't have that common interest anymore. So you
Hmm.
kind of fall apart. One I remember, I think it took us around 1 year, 1 year and a half to build a friendship. She was a wonderful person. She was a lot stronger mentally. And while I wouldn't speak up for myself, she was always there to show me that, pick your battles. Our friendship ended in a couple of days because of the misunderstanding. I don't know if I was heartbroken. I think I was a bit upset because I really cared about her as a friend and I really appreciated her. But I realized I don't think it's worth it. Or at least at that point.
I think you've learned a few things from this girl then. You picked your battle.
True. Look what a fair point you have, Andre.
So sometimes people come in your life for a season or for a reason. But if you decided to not allow her in your life because you didn't like the fact that you were not given a chance to explain yourself, then it means that was it.
What about you, Andre?
I had to break up with a friend because I think I came to the realization that we grew apart for too long. This was like a long life friendship. I think over the years, our lives have changed. Both of ours have changed considerably. And I had so much respect for this person, for what they achieved, for what they overcame, for the things that they were doing with their life, a lot of things. So much admiration as well. You have to understand what that person has been through and look at them through the lens of their own personal journey. And I could see that. There came this point in time where I felt that we have educated ourselves to be in a certain manner. And it's not through the lack of wanting different things. We both wanted similar things from life. From my perspective, there was no conflict to be had. I don't really like it when people tell me how to live my life or they feel like I should live my life in a certain way. And then I don't. And that creates a conflict. I think that's a very toxic dynamic. And it's interesting because we've already taken a break in our friendship throughout this lifetime, exactly because we got to a very conflictual stage where there was a lot of disrespect and there were a lot of hurtful things that were said. And it took me about 2 years to kind of reignite this friendship after I've done some thinking and they've done some thinking and some growing. And we kind of came together after that period in time thinking, oh, it's going to get better. But in the end, it was me who broke up with this person because I think I know really, really well what I accept and what I find unacceptable from any person in my life, not just a friend. And there are some basic rules around respect. I think I've done everything in my power to make this work. And I realize that it doesn't matter how much I try, this person is never going to change.
And that's okay. I don't think everyone has to change. If they don't want to, that's personal choice. Just the way it's personal choice if you want to stick around or not. How many times do we stay in a friendship, relationship, just because of the amount of history we have with that friend? I think that's very unhealthy, but in the same time, I understand why we decide to stick through situations that might not be in our best interest. But at some point, enough is enough. Two friends can go on separate ways, and you realize there's no turning back.
Breaking up with someone is hard anyway, be it a friend or a partner. But I think when we break up with a friend, it's a different type of pain, isn't it? The situation that you have recalled, losing a friendship over a misunderstanding, that feels really stupid.
But still, that left an empty space to be filled by someone that can bring something else to my life.
You are right, it makes space for better people to come into your life. One of the things that I've learned after taking a break from this friendship for 2 years and going back at it is that people change, but sometimes people cannot change at their core, right? So I had to make this decision about whether the core of this person fits in with everything else. And the answer was no. You and I know this very well. We were not that close for a long period of time because life put us in different directions. It put you on in 3 different countries in 2 years. Not like we were on the phone every day.
Fair.
But there was so much space and things to be shared and discussed And I keep joking about this, and I keep saying this in therapy that I'm developing the healthiest relationship of my life. I think through you, I've also healed some parts of myself that I didn't think needed healing, if that makes sense, because you challenge me in ways that are very healthy.
I wanted to say that nobody's perfect, but I always thought I'm very close to it. But you humbled me. So thank you for destroying my sense of existence and perfection.
You're welcome. That's what I'm here for.
Now, Ande, sure we see what other people have to say on social media about friendships.
Bring it on.
Okay, so Zadie Smith says she was the kind of person who never gave you enough time to miss her. I immediately thought of you.
It's called lack of boundaries.
Oh, it's good that it has a name.
Ooh, I found one. And it made me think about one of our common friends, but a little bit of you as well. You turn into FBI when your BFF tells you that she cannot find the man she's dating on social media. I know just the right people to do that.
You know me like a challenge, Andre. I found another one. It says, one good reason to maintain a small circle of friends is that 3 out of 4 murders are committed by people who know the victim. Wow.
I have to process this. Yeah, because you don't want that many people involved. I don't know. I have so much to say about this. Why do I have so much to say about this? Okay, I like this one. And it made me think about a specific point in time between the two of us. Don't look at me in that tone of voice.
Tell me.
This made me think about particular interaction that you had with someone else. And I was watching it and I could just see it in your eyes that you were so unhappy. I was fuming. I was 5 meters away from you and I was like, oh no, they didn't. They did not. And all you had to do is look at me. And you looked at me for like a fraction of a second and I knew everything that was wrong with that scenario.
When words are not needed. Another one I have, Andre. When you tell someone their secret is safe with you and your best friend. Or when I say, I won't tell anyone, anyone doesn't include my best friend, right?
Of course. You make yourself sound so much naughtier than what you really are in real life. Because I remember when I told something to your twin and she was like, what? I had no idea. And I just assumed you told her.
No. Okay, there is a fine line, Andre, and I don't cross it. Some stories are not mine to tell.
Anna, you're the most discreet person I've met. So take this. I think in a hypothetical situation, you would want to say that their secret is safe with you and your best friend. But the reality is that you are very discreet.
Okay. This one is all over TikTok.
Tell me.
When you start dating a girl and her best friend says, don't hurt her or else. And the guy says, or else what? And the police is asking this girl, you murdered this man. The best friend says, yes. Police says, you tortured him. And the best friend says, of course. I took him to my house, walked him down the street. I don't know why the media acts like he couldn't walk. He walked very well. Walked him upstairs, kicked his ass, and killed him.
I'm not dating anyone ever. Because no one is safe next to you.
But no, I thought this was so funny.
Do you have this feeling in regards to me when I date?
No, because I feel like you're strong enough to
kill my own partner?
I feel like you have what it takes. If anything, I don't want to take your power away. I think you'll enjoy it a lot more. You can kill them with words, Andre, which I cannot do. And orange is not my color. You know what I mean?
She said it. She said it right. I can kill them with words.
Kill them with kindness.
Oh, I can imagine a situation where someone would go, just please, just stop talking. In relation to what I said before, I like this one. If you're dating my best friend and you make her happy, I'll help plan the wedding. But if you hurt her, I'll help plan your funeral.
Dark. I like it.
This should be on my Hinge profile.
Yeah, no. Maybe on my Hinge profile.
Okay. If you date my best friend, honey, you're always going to be the third wheel.
I know. I was thinking about it, Andre. Before you get into a serious relationship, I think the three of us need to sit down and discuss the logistics,
Yeah.
because your partner is going to enter this relationship and I need to know how is he going to fit in.
I just like that you assumed it was my partner. No, it's going to be yours. And we're going to have a serious conversation about how much time we spend on the phone. Not me and him, me and you. He can join
Okay.
us eventually. Okay, in relation to dating, I'm going to say this. If you date my best friend, you'll always be the third wheel, honey.
So well prepared.
Anna, if you had to describe our friendship in one phrase, what would you say?
As David Bowie says, I don't know where we are going from here, but I promise it won't be boring. Andrew, try to top that up.
Oh, God. Okay, I've got it. Worst case scenario, we've made a podcast out of it.
Mic drop.